Hello there, and welcome to Indieview. In this series, I'll be interviewing indie developers about their upcoming games. Today, I'm talking to Valefor about Glyde. Hello, it's great to chat to you again. How you doing?
Hello. Yeah, welcome everyone, and thank you for inviting me to do this. It's really amazing.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Well, I guess we'll start. Could you tell me a little bit about Glyde?
Yes. Obviously, most of your audience probably doesn't know what Glide is. That's why we're doing this. So I'm just gonna bring it a bit closer to everyone. As you probably see in the clips playing in the video, it's a game where you play as a dragon. You might look at it and be like, "Oh, that's very similar to Spyro." Um, it's a bit inspired by Spyro, but not really. What Glide is basically an action adventure game set in this semi-open world with platforming elements as well, where you play as a young orange dragon named Glyde, who sets out on an adventure with his companion Wing. They set out on an adventure to find out a mysterious cause of the corruption that showed up in the world and started and spawning literally an undead creatures, which started attacking all the dragons that live in the world. And their mission is to find out what caused the corruption, why is it here, like what's happening, and how did it show up all of the sudden, you know? And so that's a little of a synopsis of the story of the game.
So I think we should get right into the meat of Glyde's gameplay because I know you're thrilled about it, and rightfully so. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on here. So would you care to explain just how many attacks Glyde will be able to perform with all his forms, and maybe talk about the forms as well, and hopefully on screen, if I do a good enough job, you'll be able to
Yes.
see that. So,
That's fine. Yeah, in terms of the gameplay, we've put a big focus on combat, and that's why we classified the game as an action adventure title. When you look at the screenshots and you see all the crystals, and it might look like it's actually like, you know, very close to Spyro, where you run around, you pick up crystals and stuff like this. But when you actually see the gameplay, you will notice that it's a lot more action focused. It's quite an action packed combat. So just to put it in perspective, in Glyde we have 8 different elemental forms. That's not including the base form, so technically there's 9. And each of those forms have multiple special abilities that you can use. They're all different. In total, we have more than 60 unique attacks. That's including like all the melee spins, you know, heavy attacks, light attacks, and stuff like this. But overall, there's more than 60 of them, and they're all the different things, and they all look different. And I think we've done a really good job on the variety of the moves that you have in the move set. In terms of the forms, as I said, we've got 8 of them. Each of them is a different element. So we have a lightning form, which is basically quick attacks, quick, fast moves. You're gonna be zapping and dashing around your enemies and striking them with thunderbolts, which is quite an easy element to get to, I would say. This is one of the basic elements you'll be learning to get grasp of the combat, I guess. Then we got the fire element, which is also one of the easier elements to play as. I think it's more of a big epic damage. It's obviously not overpowered. We don't have super strong elements. I think we've done quite good in terms of balancing all the elements, so they will all feel rewarding to play, but also interesting. But the fire is the one where, you know, it's a bit slower than lightning, for example, but it packs more damage, and it also has a debuff, which is damage over time debuff that applies to the enemies when they get hit by fire attacks. So they basically burn and take some extra damage at the end. Then the next element would be ice. Ice is one of those which is a mid damage element, I would say. So it doesn't deal as much damage as fire. It's not as quick as lightning. It's somewhere in the middle. But the main purpose of the ice element is to slow down the enemies, where you, for example, use an AoE blizzard ability that creates a zone with icicles falling down, and it slows enemies. And once enemies get slowed for a certain period of time, they actually freeze. And when you damage that enemy, you actually deal extra damage because you shatter them, which I think is quite cool. And then the next element is nature, which is also one of the core elements, which that one is the only element that allows you to heal. So it passively heals you, and it also has an active heal, which you can use at any time as well. So if you drop down to low health, if you want to recover your health, you need to go to nature, because if you don't have nature, the only other way to actually get healed is to pick up either dragon fruits that are scattered around the world, or if you're more of a meat eater, you just need to hunt and find a wolf or some other kind of animal which you can kill and eat, basically. So it's not 18 plus the game, but you know what I mean. It's a bit of a cartoony violence kind of thing. So it's not very graphic or so, but yeah, basically you kill a wolf and it drops meat and you can eat it and get the health back. So nature is the one where you would go to if you want to get healed. And then we got the other 4 elements, which we say they are a secondary element. So what they tend to do is they are still really good to fight with, and they are obviously having their own unique strengths and stuff like this. But they are something that we think it's gonna be more of a secondary thing for people. So you have your main 4 elements that are like the core of your kit, and then you have those remaining 4 elements, which are technically optional to use, but they give you some more bonuses and stuff to do in the actual world rather than in combat. So then you have water, which allows you to swim and breathe underwater without any restrictions, because if without the water element, you won't be able to breathe underwater for long periods of time. So that's where the water element comes in. In terms of combat, the water element is a bit of a wild card. It allows you to spawn clones of Glyde, which are, as I said, they are clones, but they do different things. So for example, you have 2 different clone abilities, which allow you to attack, and that clone that you spawn, it will cast one of the random abilities you've unlocked so far. Or if you use the secondary clone ability, you'll be able to spawn a decoy, which enemies will actually focus on, and they will be they'll change their mind. They'll be like, oh, actually, I'm gonna attack this Glyde now. So you can actually play around with them a bit and use that decoy to get out of tough situations. And then you got Earth, which Earth is very hard-hitting element. It's very slow as well. So if you want to do a lot of damage with Earth, you need to be careful, because you need to time your attacks right. You need to charge this attack, for example, where you hit very heavily, but you sacrifice your safety in order to do this attack. And then we've got Wind, which Wind is like a catalyst element, we call it. So with Wind, you can spawn those tornadoes, which you can actually interact with them with other elements. So technically, out of one wind tornado, you can make 8 different ones, because each other element actually changes it and does something else. And the final element is Crystal. Crystal is like a big brain element, we call it. It's something that you need to plan around with. It basically revolves about placing those crystal shards around in whatever you fight, and utilizing those shards to deal big amounts of damage. And then obviously you got the regular, which is like a regular kit that Glyde has when you have no element unlocked. Yeah, so that was a lot. Sorry, I do get a bit carried away when talking about this stuff, but there is a lot.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. There's so much going on, and like from what I played, it's really fun to utilize. I mean, I love the testing area, so I get to properly you can get magic very easily and just combine and test as much you want. It's so fun. Especially like you say with the tornado attacks, where it becomes a catalyst for others. Just that is kind of just amazing. Do you have a favorite form to play as?
It's hard to pick. I mean, to be honest, I think one of the if I had to pick one, it would be very tough. I would probably say Crystal, just purely because how epic it feels. But every element has something I love about it. But if I was to call one element like my favorite, it would probably be Crystal and those crystal shards. It's just because I just had this idea, like, I was like, when we were coming up with move sets and elements, I was just thinking like, I want something epic. I want something to do with like cosmos and crystals. I want something unique. So then I was like, so what if Glyde was able to just spawn crystal shards out of thin air, and then like they would just stab the enemies, you know, and then they would remain, and you can like do super cool things with those, like, you know. And so I was like, I don't know how we're gonna do this, but then I talked to my other friend who I've met along like this whole Glyde journey, and he helps out with programming and stuff, and we were like, so I'll give you this moveset, like, I don't know how we're gonna do this, but can you try making this work? Like, can you just give it a go? So he was like, yeah, sure. And then I went to sleep, and I woke up in the morning, and he sent me some clips, like how the shards actually spawn and work and stuff, and I was like really pleased with it. And so yeah, he did manage to actually get it working, and yeah, and it feels epic. It's like, I think with the crystal element, you have to play, and you have to actually feel those shards, like how cool they are to place around. I don't know, it's just small things like this for me are epic. But if I was, so that would be like my favorite element. But I think the most maybe fun element for me that we actually came up with, I think, is water, in a sense that it was just very random. Like, I was like, it might not make a lot of sense, but what if Glyde just spawned a clone, and that clone did something cool, like just a random ability? And you know, when we were thinking about this at the beginning, it was like, well, you know, it's like, it's a bit of an RNG. People don't really like random mechanics in games. It's like, you know, because you spend like this. Well, we call it flame bar in Glyde, but it's basically like mana, right? So you spend this mana, and then what if you get something that's actually like really bad, and you've wasted your mana? It's like, we don't want this element to be a coin flip. We don't want this to be like, oh, you go water element, and you automatically become worse than someone who isn't playing water element, you know? And so we managed to balance that out with by giving this element like quite a low cost, but actually it's never going to use any ability that's cheaper than what you've spent. So this way you always get a reward, but sometimes the reward might be a little bit like lower than, you know, because one time you might get a meteor down on your enemies, and some other time you will just get another clone that will do like a zap dash or something. But I think water element is really, really fun, and it has a very cool kit as well with the water shield and everything. So I think, yeah, crystal and water would be two of my favorite elements. But I think in terms of like the element I love the most is crystal.
I hope you realize there are going to be people who do clone only runs, right?
Oh yeah, and that was also another thing that we really want to do, like, and we were really thinking about, is like speedrunners, and also people that are going to do challenge runs and stuff. So, like, for example, like in the upcoming demo, which we're working on, yes, you do unlock elements. Like, you are kind of locked, you know, you have to go through certain elements, like they are mandatory. But what we are also thinking about doing in the full game, for example, is where, let's say you complete the game once, you will be able to pick like an element that you just want to have unlocked from the start, for example. So all non-mandatory content you'll be able to do with, like, you know, water only run, for example, and stuff. And that's also important to us as well, like all the enemies and stuff. While some of them might be weaker to certain elements, there's no enemy that you can't defeat with water, for example. It might take longer, but you can still do it. And that's what we want. We want to give people this freedom and all the ingredients, you know, that they need to make their own soup, in a sense, you know? So it's like, we give you all those elements and all those attacks, and you just go out and have fun and experiment and mix and match stuff. So yeah, this is something that we also thought about, like speedrunners and people doing challenge runs. And I just can't wait to see people doing like special arenas, for example, like arena runs using only one element and seeing how far they actually go, or, you know, completing the demo without unlocking like earth element, for example, and stuff like this. So I think it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. So in the demo I played, and like you said, you unlock the abilities one after the other. Is this going to be more spread out in the final game?
Yeah, so the initial idea, I mean, how should I say this? So we know what's gonna happen in the full game. We've got an idea of the full game. I really want to make the full game. We obviously the demo and the full game. It's all evolving constantly, and the more, let's say, the more funding in the future we get, the more doors it will open. And it's just that the initial idea for the full game was, and it still at the moment is, to unlock the elements as you progress through the story. Because the idea is that there will be these 8 elemental regions, and we obviously go through each region, and then you get an element in each of those regions, and then you keep that element, and then you can keep going and going and going. So I would say in the full game, the elements would be a little bit more spread around. So it's like you don't get all those elements straight away. And you feel like a bit overwhelmed, like you might in a demo, because in demo is a bit of a, even though it's a long demo, and it has quite a lot of stuff in it, it still sometimes feels, even to me, it feels like it might be a little bit overwhelming, because you get all those elements one after another, and you don't really have that much time. Well, I mean, you have all the time in the world you want, but between picking the element, getting new element, you don't really have that much time to learn and go in depth with one that you just unlocked. It's kind of just, you get lightning, then you get fire, and then you can go and do this and that. So in the full game, I do want to spread them out a bit, so you get some time with lightning, and then you get used to this element, and then you unlock fire, for example, because you go through the journey and something happens in the story, and then you unlock this element and stuff like this. So this is the idea, but I'm not sure if that's gonna be what's gonna happen. I think what we really will need for this is also the feedback from people, because obviously having all the elements is very important in Glyde. It's like the elements are the main thing that actually makes the game fun, like being able to actually mix and match those abilities. So we also don't want to have people stuck with one element for too long, because let's say if the final game takes 30 hours or so to complete, you don't want to be stuck with just lightning for like 5 hours or so, right?
Yeah,
or maybe 10 hours, because unless, which this is something also we're thinking about, maybe we'll just expand on the elements. So even if you are to play 5 hours in just one element at the beginning, you actually will be able to upgrade stuff in this element. You'll be able to unlock new abilities and change them around, and have a skill tree maybe and stuff like this. So there's a lot of ideas that I have. But yes, in general, the initial idea was to spread the elements around and have them linked to the story, rather than just unlock them one after one. In the demo, it's gonna be quicker, because it's as the name says, is a demo. We want to demonstrate how it's all gonna work together and how you can actually utilize those elements and how fun they are. Because if we were to do like a demo that's like properly like story based, you would probably be just unlocking one element or so.
So you mentioned little combat missions, and in the demo there are combat missions that you unlock when you unlock your forms. In the final version, is there plans to be more specialized set of arena missions within the game, maybe like some super challenges?
Yes, so I'm a big fan of like a lot of different games, like Final Fantasy, Dark Souls, stuff like this, and I love games because of their story. I love the games because of their gameplay, but I also love like open world and semi-open world games, because there's so much stuff to do as an optional content as well. And this is something I really want to do in Glyde. I don't want Glyde to just be like a linear experience throughout the whole game. I would like it to be something that you can you can revisit and you can explore. You don't have to keep following this main storyline. That I want it to be that you can walk around and you can see something in the distance and you can go there and you can be like, wow, I'm going into this dungeon here. Turns out there's like a temple underneath the ground, and in that temple you have a portal which teleports you somewhere into like a totally optional challenge area, and we want to have different challenges, we want to have more like arena like challenges where you have to defeat certain amount of waves of enemies. We want to have optional secret bosses as well, And also like time trials. I really like time trials in games and stuff like puzzles where you have to do certain things to go through this. And I really like the idea of having like mini dungeons. Like I'm also a big MMO player as well, World of Warcraft and stuff like this. And I really like dungeons in games like this, where it's kind of like a separate, smaller experience that you have. So you go into the dungeon, and that dungeon itself has its own like story, or like creatures that live in this dungeon, and the treasure to find. So we want to do a little bit of everything, I would say, in Glyde. So it's not like the game will only be fine for people who only love Spyro. If you love Spyro, that's fine. You're gonna find something for you there. If you like games like Devil May Cry, for example, there we go. You can also play Glyde, because we have a Devil May Cry like combat system, and yeah. So I think it might be that it sounds weird that Glyde is just this collection of great ideas from a lot of different games, but that's really what it kind of is. I'm surprised no one did it before, really. it's just I took some elements from all the games I played and I loved, and I decided to make something of my own, which will have all those cool ideas in there. And that's what we're gonna do. So there will be a lot of optional content and challenges and stuff like this to do, if we ever get to make a full game.
Yeah, you mentioned time trials. So is there going to be platforming challenges as well? So can we expect like a I don't know,
Yes.
just a platforming time trial?
Yeah. So this is also something that I don't think we ever shown this to anyone, but we've already. That was quite a while ago, actually. We haven't looked at it for a while, but we actually do have, I think, 2 or 3 like levels, like maps like this in the project, that are purely like platforming kind of challenge things. So you have a lot of floating and moving platforms and stuff, and obstacles and stuff like this, and you have to go through the thing till the end. So this is something that we also looked at already, and yeah, definitely, because as I said, even though Glyde is like a collection of all the great ideas and from different games, I also wanted to, because it's something that everyone sees. Glyde obviously is also inspired by Spyro, and this is Spyro was a huge game for me all my life, and even the Glyde himself as a game, it kind of came out from Spyro, like, and me making like my little Spyro project when I was at college. So I still want people who really are looking for this kind of platformer experience to also have something in there as well. So yeah, there will be like platforming challenges and stuff like this. We are hoping to do a bit of everything. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, from what I've played, and I'm sure it's going to evolve over time as well, but the movement and the gameplay is really fluid. Everything goes really well. Like in both combat and platforming, it all feels really nice.
Thank you.
I'm assuming it was quite challenging to get that blend right.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we still trying to improve, and obviously fixing bugs and issues, and we still trying to like find this right balance between the combat and the platforming aspect of the game, and like free roam and stuff like this. I would say there is still some areas that we obviously can improve, but for what we have, and especially for like the size of the team, and that there is really like pretty much just 2 of us working on the thing, like inside the actual engine, I think we actually managed to make it work quite nicely, especially with none of us being like an actual gameplay like animator or anything like this. So I think it all plays quite well, and we finally found this this sweet spot where it feels quite nice and responsive, not too floaty, not too heavy, and it also combat feels nice as well, and it's quite I would say it's easy to learn and hard to master, and this is also something that we wanted to go for as well. So I'm really happy with this.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a pretty small team. It's you and one other, and then there's someone else doing music and.
Yeah. So so in terms of the team, I actually have it written down here. I've got everyone. So if you're looking at our team, so we are small. So as I said, two of us actually work on the project. It's only me and my friend Sonny 1H. That's his like surname on Discord and stuff. He goes by 1H. His me and him, we are the only people that actually work in the engine and put all the stuff together, and we program everything. And he's mainly focusing on combat. But overall team size at the moment is actually about 10 people now.
Wow.
In terms of like an actual team size, right? So we've got a composer, we've got a UI artist, we've got a writer, we've got an animator, we've got a concept artist, which is great as well. We've also got like obviously two main voice actors. We got a voice actor for Glyde and Wing, and we got like my friend Lawrence, who's like an extra like emergency help that we so whenever we struggle with something that we literally can't find a way of doing, he's our like C++ god that helps us whenever we need help. So and then we also got like a freelancers that help us as well. So I've got like one regular 3D character artist, so he's the guy who helps making all the dragon NPC models and stuff. But on top of that, we also work with some people like composers and 2D animators and voice actors and stuff like this. So there actually is quite a lot of people involved in the project. Maybe not directly, like in terms of working and actually coding the thing, but yeah, I'm really like surprised myself and grateful how it evolved, and it started just with me, and I met so many of those cool people along the way. We even got a writer. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but yeah, Rurik is our writer as well. He's going to be fleshing out the world and stuff like this. So I've met so many cool people who are believing in the project, and they are helping with the thing to put it all together. I wouldn't be able to do it without them as well. So I just want to give them a big shout out as well, because it's not just me. I might be the lead. I'm like the person who pulls all the strings in a sense, but they are the ones that without them, without the concept art, we wouldn't have those great NPC dragons, for example. And obviously the UI is amazing as well, and the music is like breathtaking. And so there is more people involved, but in terms of like an actual development of the game, there's only two of us as well. So I think we got something nice going on for the team size.
Yeah, and I mean, as you say, it's great that you've got a writer. I know you already had like plans for a story, and it's great that you've got more people to help like create more lore for the game as it evolves, which is fantastic. So you've been working on this for a while. How long have you been working on it?
So Glyde as an idea, and I think like my first thing that I done about Glyde was about 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think I think that was my first like Glyde upload on my YouTube. That was about 4 years ago. It was like a small clip just showing me flying around with like a placeholder dragon that was orange, and he was already called Glyde. That was 4 years ago. So that's obviously when the idea kind of came to my head, and I started working on this. And then over time, I've met people, and I think we like it. So 4 years ago, it all kind of started, and obviously I was working on this, and I think maybe like year or 2 years later, I've met 1H, and he joined the project to help me out, because he did show me some stuff that he made for his own little game, and he was working on the combat aspect out of it and stuff, and he said that he is quite confident he could make his combat system work with Glyde as well. So he joined the project, and since then the development kind of skyrocketed as well, because obviously it wasn't just me, and we were able to work on different things at the same time, and we started meeting some other new people who were also interested in helping out the project. So I would say the idea came to my head like about 4 years ago, but the actual development on the demo is about 2 years, I think. Like solid 2 years of work, like almost constantly, in our free time, because obviously we all do this in free time. there's no pressure on anyone. We are doing it all for fun, and we're doing it in our free time because we got our regular jobs and in the universities, and some people are still in education and stuff like this. So yeah, I would say 2 years of solid work, and that also includes us restarting the thing a couple times. So we had an idea. I've made like a level, and then I was like, no, I'm not happy with this. Delete and start from scratch. So yeah, about 2 years is what I would say, like comfortably, is where we actually started making what we see now.
So you say you deleted a level if you didn't like it and stuff, but
yeah,
was there ever any completely different concepts of oh, this is what Glyde should be? No, it just doesn't work. Scrap it. Or
yeah. So as I said, this is something. This is just a part of the project of this evolution. Like, you work on something, you make it, and then it's not like you see it in your head, and then you try to fix it, or you just go, no, I need to start from scratch. I know it may be just me. Maybe it's a bad thing to do, but sometimes I had this level. It was big, and I was like, this is gonna be the demo level, and I spent so much time on this. But then I played through it, and I was like, I don't know. It just feels like it's missing something. It doesn't feel right. It's like, and I just couldn't rework the same thing. I had to start from scratch, and that happened a couple times. In terms of mechanics, it wasn't that bad. We did from the beginning. Like, I kind of knew what I want Glyde to be. From the beginning, I knew actually maybe something interesting here. So obviously, Glyde started as a game inspired by Spyro in a sense. But then I was like, so if I was to make Spyro now, how would I evolve the genre? Like, how I would make it more modern? And then obviously this is something that they already did in Enter the Dragonfly and stuff like this, where they introduced different element breaths and stuff. But then I was like, yes, so to me this feels like a natural progression of the game, like Spyro. So what if we actually not only change the breath, but what we change the whole dragon himself and give him all different unique abilities? And instead of, at the beginning it was just 4 elements. It was fire, lightning, nature, and then we had ice. But then obviously once we got the main 4 to work, I was like, so why don't we do another 4? And then
why don't I give myself a lot more work instead of a huge pile that's already there, and let's double it. Here we go.
But then the thing is like, because we already got the 4 working, we knew we can do more, and it's just this kind. That's the part of the evolution. It's like, if I wanted to now, I'm quite confident that we would be able to do and that's also something I planned for the full game. Obviously, I don't know how far we're gonna go with this, but I know that I could add even more, and I have ideas for other moves as well. And you might ask, oh, but what other elements could you do after 8 elements? You pretty much used out all elements, right? But then, to me, an element is not like, you have those base elements like wind, earth, water, fire, stuff like this. But then to me, an element, it could be something that's a mix of 2 different elements. We could make something more unique, like for example, in World of Warcraft, they did that with a 1 mage spell. Instead of having a frostbolt or a firebolt, you also could have frost firebolt, so it's like fire and ice in one. And I was thinking that, maybe we could do something along those lines with Glyde as well in the full game, like some secret elements, or something that's totally unique, like having a poison element, and you just spit poisonous fumes everywhere and stuff like this. So I'm pretty sure we could make a lot more elements in the game as well. But that's because I know that we already did 8 and they all work fine. So we know the base, we know what is required to implement those things. And I know we can do more. So yeah, it's just, as I said, it's just a part of a learning process. And when I started working on Glyde and coding things, I couldn't really code a lot. I wasn't really a good programmer. But now I can see myself, how I improved over those years. Now I can think of something and I'm like, I know how to do this in Unreal. I don't need to watch a YouTube tutorial anymore. I can do it out of my own initiative, and I know how to do it. So this also helps, it's just, as I said, it's part of this evolution and learning experience.
Yeah, of course. So I want to quickly go back to something you mentioned earlier, like the challenges, whether it be platforming or combat and stuff. Eh, can we learn what kind of thing they might unlock, or can't you say? Because we're presumably going to be unlocking the elements through the story. So
Yes. So we got some unlocks, and you'll be able to find a couple of things in the demo itself as well. But in the full game, I mean, there's plenty of things to unlock. Like one of the big things that I think will drive people to do all the optional stuff is something. Well, a lot of people will know what it is, but basically armor sets, right? So you have in the demo we do have one armor set which is separated, and I think it's 4 or 5 pieces that you need to find. So in the full game, you're obviously gonna have many more. So here's another element which comes into Glyde, is like you actually gonna unlock armor for your dragon, which is really cool. And it's not just like you pick one thing and it equips you with a whole armor. You actually unlock like 5 different pieces or so, and they all do different things, give you different bonuses, and a different bonus if you have the same set equipped. So as I said, in the demo there's only one, but in the full game I would like to have, like, a lot of different armor sets. We have a lot of cool ideas. We have great concept artists who designed the current armor set, and she can design a lot more. And I think that will be one of the things that people will love to collect. So you'll basically have like all those different armor pieces and stuff, and you'll be able to customize your Glyde. And something also that might be interesting to people is that with this armor set, it's basically something that's inspired by a transmog system in World of Warcraft. So what it is you have a piece of gear. Let's say you have a helmet with 20 extra damage on there. And then you have another armor, like helmet, which is like nice and golden, but it only gives you like defense or something. Let's say you want the stat of the first helmet, but you like the look of the second helmet. So what you can do in World of Warcraft is you can keep the first helmet on, but you can transmog your item. You can actually change the look of it to the second helmet, and that's what I would like to do in Glyde as well. So this will give so this will give people this option to, you'll be able to have, you don't have to, like, because in some games you're forced to resign from a cool item, for example, like a cool helmet, because it's worse than something you picked up later in the game. So what I want to do in Glyde is that you don't have to sacrifice the stats, or you don't have to sacrifice your build or the helmet that you like for something that's just a little bit better. You can wear that better item, but you can actually change it to look like the one that you like, So I think like the cosmetic aspect of Glyde is also going to be something that people will enjoy unlocking, and that's one of the things that will be unlockable in the full game, with some other stuff, but I can't really tell you about the other things yet. But I think armor is going to be one of those things that will drive people to explore, because like, there is going to be a nice epic, like fully armored golden set, like you will want your Glydes to have this cool golden armor, and so people will be looking for that. So
and by extension, if you say preferred to players Glyde without armor, could you still keep the stats but have the armor off?
Yes, yeah. This is also another thing. Obviously, we will allow people to hide elements of the armor. So, and it's also like individual pieces. So, let's say you just want to keep the helmet off, you just keep the helmet off. You can just hide it.
That's really
this
cool.
is something we might also add in the demo. We did think about this. It's not in the demo yet, so I don't know if you're gonna do this. Probably yes, because I mean it shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, it's gonna be like you can just hide your helmet, or you can hide the front, like bracers, or you can hide the tail, ring or weapon or whatever you have, depending on the armor you have. So yeah, you'll be able to hide individual pieces as well to make it like custom Glyde.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you are planning to launch this on Kickstarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And the demo that I've been playing and you've been seeing, presumably basically a better version of that will be free for everyone to try.
Oh yes. So the demo, we're still working on this. Obviously, it's not finished yet, but it will be free to everyone. And this is like the strategy that I decided to take. It's just because you can see Kickstarter is like a coin flip. Sometimes it is successful for certain games, and sometimes it's not. But what also happens sometimes is that you see those projects on Kickstarter, which promise a lot of things, and they actually never deliver on those things, and people basically feel like they've been scammed because they put money towards something that they believed is gonna be like great, but they actually never got to try it, and then it turns out that actually, you paid for this, you backed this game, you download this game when it's out, and it's like nothing like it's been promised and stuff. So what I decided to do is, we basically go big or go home. So we making a nice high quality demo. We're trying to do our best. We will release the demo for free to try, and if people decide that to try the demo, and if they enjoy the thing, and if they would like to see the full game happen, then they will have an option to go to Kickstarter and just fund the project, because then at least they would know what they are supporting and what they can expect from the quality of the demo. And I think this will either work or not. But yeah, I promised to my little community, and I always was saying that the demo will be free. And even though it grew out of our scale, like we wanted it to be smaller, but it ended up a bit bigger than intended, it's still gonna be free. So yeah, this is something I want to do willingly, and even if it doesn't work out, I still will be happy to at least give people this nice big demo to play.
And any idea on when this is going to be launching, or can you not say yet because you've still got more to work on?
Still got some stuff to do. Most of stuff, like the core things, are actually in the demo. It just needs some polish, and we just need to add some more little bits. So I think I can comfortably say that 2020 will be definitely 2022. Sorry, will be definitely the demo release. But what month, or is it the first half or the second half? That's something it's hard for me to say at the moment. So definitely next year. But yeah, we'll see. Obviously we'll keep everyone updated with the Kickstarter and the demo, and we'll see what happens afterwards.
Well, you should be incredibly proud. You and everyone else who's been working on this should be so proud. It's really fun. I've been having a blast playing it.
Thank you very much.
And I'm looking forward to just every so often hopping back into the little arena and using all the forms. Just be like, okay, cool. Everything will die. Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very fun. Especially the mix and match, like you mentioned. That's great.
That's another of the things that I really love, like about this. In the demo, you'll get a taste of everything, and we also have this training room, which you can just jump in anytime, and you can just play around with all the elements, and you can get better at them, and you can learn and experiment and test yourself in combat in those little arena trials and stuff. So I think the demo will be something that people will enjoy, and they'll be able to get a taste of a bit of everything. And hopefully that will give them like a reason to support the game on the Kickstarter, and maybe we'll get to make the actual big proper like Glyde game afterwards.
Well, hopefully. I would love to see it be fully made, because it is fantastic. Is there anything else you would like to add before we end?
As I said, big shout outs to everyone who joined the project and who helps me out with this, because I couldn't do it without you guys. Obviously, thanks to you for taking your time and like actually trying Glyde for yourself and inviting me for this. It's really amazing to do. I'm really grateful for your support. And for people who are watching this, if you want to support Glyde, if you want to be notified and keep track of the project and stuff like this, feel free to join our Discord, follow the Twitter, and if you want to help the project like financially and stuff like this, you can also donate through Patreon. Everything obviously goes towards the project, the models, the art, stuff like this. So if you want to do that, thank you. And if not, still thank you. You can share this video around. You can let people know about Glyde, and that will help a lot. But the final thing, and that's what's most important for me now, is we actually did launch a Steam page a few days ago. So if you could, it doesn't cost you anything, if you could just go search for Glyde and just wishlist the game, that would help us a lot. because I mean I don't really know what wishlists exactly do, but apparently they help a lot on Steam. So
Yeah,
if you could just wishlist
I believe
Glyde,
it emails you once a game is releasing.
yes, yeah, and
stuff,
that will give you all the notifications. So whenever there's like something major happening with the project, you'll get notified, and when the demo and the full game is out, you'll also get notified. So definitely click the wish list. And subscribe to Teal as well.
Oh, thank you.
Because he's great, yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been super fun. It went so quick though. I just we need to do like part 2 sometime.
Oh, absolutely. When the Kickstarter launches, I'm more than happy to. But good luck with the rest of the development, because yeah, you're doing a fantastic job, all of you.
Awesome.
And as I say, go and follow. As you said as well. Yeah, I'll have all the links in the description. So you've got the Steam wishlist, Twitter, Patreon. You can give me the link to the Discord, and also you've got a YouTube channel where you're posting little things every so often. So
yes.
So yeah, links to all those down below. Whichever one you want to go and follow and support, they're there. Hooray! But
thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's wonderful. I'm gonna go back and play more Glyde, I think.
Yeah, we do this for people like you. That's the main reason. So, you know, yeah, it's just, yeah, really grateful.